But we're going to get right into it. So here's what we got. I'm a Masters player who has ranked over 10 accounts, and I can tell you that ELO Hell is very, very real. You can already see I've downvoted this, okay? Because my nitpick with this post. So let's talk about like what ELO Hell is. Okay, so ELO Hell is this fundamental idea that I'm a better player than my rank says because I'm kept back by bad teammates. Now, the obvious response to that, especially early when the whole ELO Hell argument, was that that's baloney, that's a load of bull. If, you know, like there's an equal chance of you having bad teammates as they've got good. Like if you are on average better than your teammates over the course of many games, that you'll climb. And everybody should know that. There's some people that don't, but that's the first argument against this. Now, there is some argument of saying that, like, okay, sometimes rank is sticky. In other words, it will try and like sometimes it discourages you from climbing too fast, and like maybe the algorithm is that you're more likely to get worse teammates if you start doing better. I don't exactly know what the algorithm is, but we do know this. We know for a fact that there's this. That number one, that if you look at the average SR of players in a lobby, it's almost always very close, regardless of rank. Usually almost very close. So even if somebody's on a hot or a cold streak, you would have to be, it would be very hard for a significantly better player to be caught in a lower rank. It might be occasionally, I think somebody mentioned ELO purgatory, maybe temporarily you're put with a couple of bad games. You get unlucky, somebody's on a loss streak, or maybe the game puts you in that. We don't know. Like, we don't really exactly know what Overwatch, like what's going in the gears in the back. But we do know is that if there is a system that like tends to discourage you from getting too good too fast, it's a very slight one. It's never even enough to go, what? I have 5 silvers on my team and they have 5 golds? What a load of crap is that? Like, that never happens. It never happens. So if it is, it's very slight. In addition to that, I have some personal experience with this because I'm in a unique position, and you can talk to other people like IOStucks or other private coaches. I have done literally almost or close to or right at 1,000 VOD reviews. 1,000 VOD reviews of every rank, of every hero, mostly in the plat region. Gold, silver, bronze, diamond. I've done at least 30 to 40 VOD reviews of every rank. So it's not just been 1,000 VOD reviews. I've done at least 30 or 40 bronze VOD reviews, at least 50, 70, whatever, silver. Like, there's a standard discrepancy, right? I get more plats and golds and diamonds because that's more where the player population is, especially the player population that wants to improve. But I've done a lot of bronze. I've done a lot of GM, all that stuff. I have never, ever, not even once, been submitted a VOD where I have come away from the VOD saying this person is like 250 or 300 SR off. In other words, I'm reviewing a diamond player, this person deserves to be in Masters. I'm reviewing a Masters player, this person deserves to be in GM. Maybe I'll be like, man, this player looked really good this game. This player could definitely be 150, 200 SR higher. That has definitely happened, yes. We'll talk more about why that is in a second. 150, 200 SR? Yep. 250 SR? Maybe a couple where I felt like somebody was playing very well. Like, I'll get like a 3100 on a VOD review, and I'm like, this was better than the 3300 on I just reviewed a couple days ago, right? That has absolutely happened. But I've never seen a 300 SR plus jump. Never. Not once. Now, there's another factor that we have to consider when it comes to ELO Hell and ELO Heaven. And that is the fact that people do not play the same on a day-to-day basis. Mental is extremely important when it comes to performance. Very important when it comes to performance. In other words, when people are performing, a lot of the times we will see this, right? Right? This is this is how people's ranked goes. Maybe this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, normally when we're coaching people like this, the first thing we always bring up is that, you know, you got bad luck. You got bad teammates. Maybe on Monday, your teams were on average like 25 SR higher. Tuesday, it was like about even. Wednesday was really bad. On average, the matchmaker put you in games that you had minus, 15 SR than the enemy team, and so on. So like, there's way, like, you get unlucky, or maybe you just had a couple of throwers that day. It was just unlucky, or somebody, their computer crashed twice on Wednesday, but on Monday, you guys benefited from levers twice in a row. Like that's just standard deviation. It happens, right? But the important thing to notice is that if we remove external factors, okay, we can clarify this as also personal consistency and mental. In other words, Monday you got lots of sleep, you were prepared, you were able to warm up thoroughly, and it showed. Tuesday, not so much. Wednesday, you were concerned about how Tuesday went and how it wasn't as good, and so you started to choke. You were trying too hard. You were trying to do too many things at once. You weren't just relaxing. I'm just going to work on my positioning and we'll see if we win or lose. You were trying to win games. You're putting really effort and like, oh, you're missing heads, man. Come on, don't mess it up. You're getting hard on yourself. You're telling yourself what to do. There's a lot of things that I want to like, I would be able to talk about like a mental. In fact, I'm still studying this a lot, like the effects of mental and like focus and learning and things like that. And Wednesday, you just were not in it. You were choking, your mindset was wrong, you were getting, and the worst part about this is when you start to struggle, if you don't immediately right yourself and say, you know what, don't worry about it, it's okay, stuff happens, you suck today, don't worry about it. If you get on yourself and are harder on yourself, then this happens. You get, not only are you here, you go all the way to here, right? Now, is this player fundamentally a different person on Wednesday than they were on Monday? I mean, in fact, you'd be like, well, why should be better? I've practiced for 2 days. But they're playing worse because of their thought, their mental. Their mental is worse. And we can blame this on Tuesday kind of being a mediocre day and us getting concerned over that, and then Wednesday got even worse. So if I reviewed a VOD from you on a Monday and you on a Wednesday, I would say if you like blindfolded me and didn't tell me, like, I mean, obviously I'd have to review the VOD, but I played on a different account and I didn't even know it was the same person, I might guess that there would be a 200, 250 SR gap between these 2 days, even though it's the exact same player. You see what I'm saying? It's the exact same player. In fact, they've had 2 days of practice. They have the exact same goals. Maybe they even had the same sleep schedule and they ate the same crud, but the mental is not there. They were distracted, they were upset, they were tilted, whatever, or they were frustrated, and they start playing worse. So if you factor that in along with the, you know, the standard randomness that is the matchmaker, that's at least a little random, then this is going to happen. And it used to be worse. Do you guys remember back before 2-2-2 lock? Maybe the game would put you in with 3 mercy mains, or 4 tank mains, or only 1 DPS player, and then that was just a train wreck, right? So now it's better than it used to be. So you have to understand when it comes to ELO hell or ELO purgatory, whatever, that yes, the matchmaker and unlucky things happen, but also you are a variable in terms of how those matches go. And the variability is almost always your schedule, like your scheduled like playing, like your alertness, I guess, like how much you've trained, how much have you warmed up, how alert are you today. But the other one, really big one, is your mental, right? Because remember, all it takes is one bad game to completely make you play worse. To make you play worse. Not a bad game in terms of, oh, you played poorly, as in you played poorly and now you're thinking about it, and now you're trying too hard not to play poorly, and now you're going to play even worse. And that is something that I can relate to because I'm hyper competitive. I get really hard on myself when I play poorly. Pepper, you know all about that. And I start playing worse and worse and worse. And you are a variable in this. So now what we're going to look at here, but the takeaway here is that if it is your mental, that will make that you can drop a rank. Absolutely, you can absolutely drop a rank. I could be reviewing a person who's normally masters and they're having a really bad day and they're playing like a diamond. I've worked with many players that have done that, and that happens. But the point being is that, unfortunately, as sad as that is, you deserve that rank. If your mental is so fragile that you tend to boom and drop like that, sorry, you deserve that rank. There are Overwatch League caliber players in the past that I know of who have let their bad mental prevent them from being in Overwatch League or getting good contenders teams because nobody wants to play with that player. Not just because, oh, they're not a good teammate, it's because they do well when they're good, but when they're bad, they're literally worse. You'd rather have almost like a low GM DPS player than this tier 2 Overwatch League player because they play worse. They click heads. It's not just that they're annoying, they actually start positioning in worse. They start struggling to click heads, and they start playing the game at like they're playing at a lower rank. And that's an issue. Do I recommend reading The Inner Game of Tennis? It's funny that you should mention that. Yes, I do. I do. I just finished that book, actually, a couple days ago. Okay. So anyway, but it's not just that book that I'm learning this from. It's from some other, but that book is excellent at discussing this. Huh? The comfy? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, this is right here. I could tell which one was right. Yep. Okay. So the reason I downvoted this is because it is a pat on the back for all. It is a psychological trick that this player is pulling. Because first off, who are you? You're one, like, how do I trust you? Do we trust this person? Do we know who this person is? Is one person's disingenuous description all of us, like, look at this. This is just a feel-good post. Oh, see, I knew it. A Masters player told me that ELO Hell is real, so it's got to be true. Do you know who this player is? Have you ever seen them play? Do you know everything about their situation and about their mental? How do you know he's not lying or she is not lying? You don't know anything about the situation, right? So this is just, hearsay. Now, let's actually look over the post, and then let's actually look over the gameplay. Because first off, remember we described as that you could be a worse player and you deserve that rank? Well, I'm skeptical that a Masters player... Well, let's talk about what rank. I've been playing Overwatch since release, 2 hours. I play around 34, 3,500 all rolls. So first off, it's worth noting that this player admits to being high diamond, very low Masters. You're a Masters player, but if you're playing around this rank here, this is not really Masters. This is high diamond. And remember, the higher on the bell curve that you get, right? The bigger gap from here, it's a bigger gap to go from here to here. Like it's a lot harder in a lot of ways to go from here to here than here to here, right? To go from 4,500 to 4,700 is a lot harder to go from 2,300 to 2,500. You're further along, the competition's a lot hotter, all right? So first off, it's worth noting this person is not really Masters. They've maybe peaked Masters or occasionally hit Masters, but they're not a Masters player. I've gotten to Masters on multiple accounts, but many of my 12 accounts are hard stuck in gold. Okay, so gold to Masters. So 2,000, let's say 300 or 400, all right, to 30, let's just say 3,500. That's 1,200 SR. And now we're hoping that this guy is not lying and not being disingenuous and saying, oh, I'm stuck in gold on tank, and this guy's a DPS player. Let's say he's a tank player, he's playing a tank, he's DPS. This is not a reasonable gap in SR. This is not what you'd expect from standard deviation. This is not what you'd expect from even mental boom. Like, you'd have to be either physically ill to play 1,200 SR or worse, or addled or stone drunk, or I don't know how badly you would play to have. This is a massive SR gap. Massive SR gap. Okay? So this is concerning. Either there's a conspiracy, ELO Hell is real, or something's wrong. There's a rat in the water. Okay? I smell it, right? I can honestly say while I'm getting kills in gold is much easier, winning games is much, much harder in gold than diamond or Masters. This is, even if there is some sort of a ELO Hell, this is a factually wrong statement. This is nonsense. This is illogical. Now, if he had said winning games for me is much, much harder in gold than diamonds or Masters, that might be, that's his experience. Okay, that's unfortunate. Maybe he's got the bad luck of the draw. Maybe Overwatch thinks that he's a lower rank. Maybe there's something goofy in the system. But he is describing winning games as much, much harder in gold than in diamond or Masters, which is fundamentally, factually wrong, because in every game you lose or you win. You lose or you win. There is no second option or third option other than a draw, in which case you're still not winning or losing. Right? Winning games is much hard. No, it's not. It's just as hard as it is in diamond or Masters. Without context, this sentence is absolutely false. This makes no sense. This is like saying, like I'm trying to example. It's harder to win tic-tac-toe. It's harder to win tic-tac-toe than it is to win, chess, right? Well, if you start factoring skill, yes, but the game is fundamentally the same. Somebody always loses and somebody always wins. That wasn't the best analogy, okay? So either way, this makes no sense. And diamond, I feel like I can relax, and Masters have to try hard, but gold feels like nothing I do has any impact on whether I win. Okay, so this is more, you know, personal opinion. So we can let that pass. That's personal opinion. If I get a pick or two in Masters, that will usually win a fight. But even if I get 3 or 4 kills in gold and still lose a team fight, okay? Unusual. Maybe there's something in gold where if you get a pick or two, your team doesn't know how to like push an advantage properly, so that they tend to choke one fights more often, which is fair, right? How many times have you guys gone, oh, we've killed everybody, the Genji's still alive, and then he blades and he kills 4 or 5 and wins the fight? New with you.
I'm so glad you're talking about this. I read the post when
Yeah.
I woke up and was suspicious.
Thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm suspicious as well. Let's figure out what the deal is. So yes, I can say, okay, there's a Genji still alive. He solo blades like 6 of our teammates, and maybe he gets away with it like bronze or gold, right? Where otherwise in higher ranks, it's literally impossible to do that. So maybe in gold, it's more likely to lose choked fights. But again, it's also easier for you guys to benefit from that, where you don't get any kills and you still win, right? Just based off the nature of the randomness that is lower ranks. I will say tank is the best role to consistently carry. Again, in my experience, but with the intentional role queue, that doesn't really matter anymore. Okay, is he saying that role queue and normal open queue being a tank player was better because this only makes sense because in open queue you were more likely to get people that like you were less likely to get tanks, right? The fact that tank queues are so short tells you there are fewer tank players than there are DPS players, and so you're more often to run into a game where if, hey, I'm willing to play tank, then you're going to start climbing. That was definitely the case with open queue. That makes mathematical sense. Whether your accounts start climbing into platinum above or stay stuck in gold is almost entirely due to how your placement matches and treasure games go after. Again, citation needed here. In this time period, you can gain or lose hundreds of SR per game. That I've never seen that happen before. I think the most I ever got was when the game I was a master support player. It placed me in low gold. I don't know why. So placements are busted. And I won like 11 in a row. And I think the most I won was around 45 or 50 SR per game, the most. So I would, again, citation needed, right? Why are we taking your word for it? We get a few unlucky matches on this can ruin accounts, set you back hundreds of hours. Okay. But it sets you, okay, if sure, maybe you lose the opportunity to get the freshly moldable SR, but you're not saying that you're describing Elo purgatory. In other words, it takes you longer to climb because you're at a lower rank with MMR. But you can still climb. You'll still win the majority of your games. The Elo hell is you're not going anywhere. You're stuck. And that's a completely different thing that you're explaining here. I was in high plat within 10, 15 games. I played hard set gold. It's like a really good environment. So, you know, again here, this could also be because that when you placed or were in high plat, you were less boomed. When you played in gold, because you were boomed or you had a bad day, and so it carried on. That's like saying on days where I played really good, I ranked really high. On days where I played really bad, I ranked really low. Well, I mean, that could definitely be the case. Okay. The matchmaker also will put you in games that thinks it will win, lose, depending on whether it thinks you belong. Again, citation needed. We're guessing here. Many games I play are clearly not meant to be fair. Again, citation needed. With 3 to 6 Smurfs on one team and an entire team of silver border gold borders on the other. Again, citation needed. Low ranked accounts does not equal Smurf. It is more likely to be a Smurf because it is rarer that you have somebody who has leveled account or bought an account with a gold or silver border and decides now that I am a higher ranked player, I'm going to play in this account. But again, Smurfs does not equal low ranked accounts. It could be an alt account. I got accused of being a Smurf all the time. I remember when I was playing with my Genji only account years ago, I'd be, oh, this guy's a Smurf. He's level 20, 29 or whatever. In the very next day, I'm being reported for throwing because I'm a bad Genji, right? The very next game. And I was the same player. And mentally, I was still there. It was just a more difficult circumstance. I got lucky with a blade and everybody just like loses their minds. The lower ranks are simultaneously the ranks that are the most likely to be affected by a Smurf and the ones that are most likely to inaccurately accuse people of being a Smurf. It's the same with every game I've played. Cheating accusations always plague lower ranks more than higher ranks because but at the same time the lower ranks are also like, so it's understandable because having a Smurf in a low rank game sucks. Like you can solo carry, like if you're a GM in a silver or gold game, like legitimately you could almost have your entire team be brain dead and still win. But they're more likely to, false accuse. I think that rank where I see the most actual Smurfs is probably closer to Diamond because that's where newer, actually pro, like really good players, that's generally where they place. And again, that's not technically a Smurf. It's just that's just where the placing system is kind of bugged out. But I don't take my word as fact. I hold myself to the same standard. That's just my experience. I don't know that for a fact. But yeah, this word gets thrown around a little too much. On the other hand, I have accounts that seem genuinely unwinnable games off the bat, install in gold platinum. Some of these accounts take me weeks or even months to climb into high plat. Again, bizarre. That seems really strange to me. I mean, we don't know how much he's playing. I prefer a number of games here instead of description of time, because he could play one game a day, then obviously, where games start to become predictable and less of a mess. But trying to make sense of what's bizarre. Okay. All right. Okay, Torb.
Such potential. The objective.
10 out of 10 bait. Well, chat, they got us.